Hey everybody, it's Amber here for Tune In Tuesday with Hope, Healing Our Past Experiences. And I just want to welcome you back again this week as we discuss the tough stuff, answer your questions, and share stories of hope. And so, whenever we're talking about survivors of sexual abuse, misuse, and trauma, it's tough, right? And so one of the girls that I had been spending a lot of time speaking with this past week shared a phrase with me as she texted me one time, and it just stuck with me, and it made so much sense because I've heard it time and time again. She's not the first to say it to me, and I know I even experienced it for myself during a period of time, and I know that there has been ladies even carry it into their 70s that I've got to minister to, that had this thought in their mind, and for them it caused so much confusion. So here's the thought. Most of my abuse wasn't, quote, painful. I just didn't know any better. And you see, that's where it brings confusion, because oftentimes it's introduced at a very young age, and those parts of your body that should not have even been awakened yet were awoken really early on in life. They were stimulated in a way that they weren't meant to be stimulated just yet. And in that, it was supposed to be a pleasurable experience with your spouse. But because things were awakened very early, then you're confused because, well, there's pleasure mixed with emotional pain. There's pleasure mixed with psychological pain. And so we're trying to muddle through that, and you're trying to figure out, why could it be pleasurable and painful at the same time? And it's not because a child wants it, right? It's not. Don't confuse me with that. Please don't even go there. And if you're a perpetrator, just turn it off right now. Like, seriously. Don't think that you're justified in what you do. What you're doing is taking advantage of someone who did not give you consent and causing confusion into their life. And so whether it's another child stimulating another child, that's happened in a classroom, I've heard, on a school bus, at church, all these different things. I have girls in my head I could list off, that have shared these things with me. Another child touching them. It's also been relatives, whether it's uncles or aunts or grandmas or grandpas or moms or dads or friends of the family that had access to them, that they were stimulated early on. And it isn't just for girls either. Like, there were guys that were taken advantage of as children, and sometimes just brutally hurt, right? And then they bring that into their current day marriages and their relationships, and it's a lot of baggage to carry in. And so when you bring brokenness into your relationship, it's hard. I'll just be honest, it's hard. It was hard in my own life, with my own marriage, with my own husband, right? And so we had to sift through that trash and realize that some of that junk, a lot of that junk, wasn't the way that intimacy was meant to be with my spouse. It was unhealthy, even though it was our norm, right? And so I know that, as awkward as that sounds, it is the norm for so many others, that they don't realize what has became their norm is unhealthy in the bedroom. It is absolutely fine to set boundaries in your bedroom. Pornography is not healthy at any part in any relationship, and every perpetrator has a history of pornography in their place. So keep that in the back of your head. When you're struggling with that addiction of pornography, you don't have a desire to become a perpetrator. I've said before, my dad didn't wake up as a child and be like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a perpetrator. It's something that he became. It's a choice that he made when it was put before him, but it wasn't something like, when I grow up, I want to be. It's one of those things that added to that, right? And so for so many that have been confused by their trauma, abuse, and misuse, because it wasn't painful necessarily, they just didn't know any better. I hope that brings some clarity to somebody maybe that's in your life. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your child that's opened up, maybe it's a friend who's opened up to you, and you think, well, how could that be? And I hope that has brought a little bit more clearer view of how it could be stimulated being pleasurable, but also being painful, right? And anything that has been traumatic needs healing. It's a wound that we have. Our soul is wounded every time we've been perpetrated. So you have to purposefully and intentionally heal from that. And I want to encourage you that. So check out the website at www.2tryhope.com, and I would love to hear from you. So comment, email me.